What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Cartea recipe video. Look, now it's holiday season. We got those holiday recipes coming up, but I want to do a real quick intro just to let y'all know, if y'all don't already know, we finally hit 1,000 subs on the channel. Yeah, so shout out to y'all. Shout out to yourselves. Look, I love y'all and I appreciate all the love, all the subs, all that y'all been giving. And y'all staying tuned in, and y'all keep coming back for more and more videos and more recipes and more entertainment from the channel. All that, bro. So I appreciate y'all. 1,000 subs, and it's only going up from here. So look, again, thank y'all so much. God bless every single one of y'all. Look, we got more content to come. All that. So just stay tuned. Stay locked in and keep spreading that word. Look, we making fire recipes on this channel, and we just doing it all. We doing food reviews. We doing all that. But look, today, do something a little special for y'all. Y'all know it's the holiday season. It's time to start getting those ingredients, start getting those side dishes, start getting that turkey ready, that whatever you making. If you're responsible for cooking this year, if you're responsible for making the mac and cheese, whatever it is, if you're responsible for any dish, we're going to do a compilation of different side dishes. The best, pretty much the best, most well-known, you know, those soul food side dishes that y'all probably already seen. Y'all probably already know. Y'all seen on this channel already. But we're going to go ahead and put them all together in this one video, just so y'all don't have to worry about going back to, you know what I'm saying, going back, go find this recipe, go find this side dish. Look, we're gonna just put a few of them in this video, and y'all gonna be able to just go ahead and just lock in, watch the whole video, go ahead and skip to whichever, you know what I'm saying, side dish, whichever recipe you want to see, or whichever one you want to try to make. We're gonna go ahead and just show a few of them for you. So look, that's that. I'm gonna go ahead and just let these recipes play. And again, look, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for showing love. Thank y'all for subscribing.
Cartea, what we doing, bros?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Cook with Cartea recipe video. Look, y'all seen that thumbnail, y'all already know what's going on. We're doing that creamy baked mac and cheese today. This version, we're gonna take it to the next level. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and just say real quick, if y'all not used to making a roux, you know, with making a cream cheese sauce, you know, a creamy cheese sauce, sorry. If y'all not used to doing that, you know, just refer to our last video. I'll put it in the description, all that. And y'all can just do that. And, you know, it's an easier version of making that mac and cheese. Y'all don't have to worry about making a roux. If it's your first time, you know what I'm saying, try it. Just see what's going on. If you can master it, go ahead. But look, I'm gonna show y'all today how we're gonna make that creamy baked mac and cheese. Look, it's holiday season. If y'all making that holiday, that Christmas dinner, you know, whatever, go ahead and throw that mac and cheese in there. Yeah. So look, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Y'all see we got our ingredients right in front of us. For that mac and cheese, never too many ingredients. So yeah, we got our different cheeses today. We're gonna be doing a 4 cheese. Now, you can switch up your cheeses however you want to do it, but today, you know, we just gonna be using 4 different cheeses today. The basic ones, the ones that's necessity. You know, any other cheeses that you want to use, you know, you could throw in those extra flavored cheeses, however you want to do it, but we're gonna keep it, you know, pretty basic with the cheeses today. So look, we got mozzarella right here, we got that Colby Jack, and then just right here, we got a sharp cheddar, and then we just got that mild medium cheddar. And then we got stuff like heavy cream. We're gonna need that whipped cream cheese. Yeah, that whipped cream cheese spread. We got some butter right here. And then today, we're gonna be using those cavatappi noodles today. And I'm gonna tell y'all why. But yeah, cavatappi noodles. All right, y'all, so look, y'all know, we're gonna start off with that butter. And use about a half a stick, you know, this is almost a full one, about 3/4 of butter. We're just gonna use the rest of that. Y'all already know, keep this heat on a low medium, real low heat right now, because we want to let this butter start to melt down real slow. We don't want to have too much heat on here because we don't want the butter to be burned. Notice in the back, we already got our water boiling. We want to get at a little bit of a head start. We got our flour. We're not going to add it all in at once. We're going to add in a little bit at a time because we don't want no clumps. We want this to be smooth. And we want to make sure that every part of this flour we get cooked down. And a little bit more flour in there. That should be good. Just mix this in, and get it all cooked down. Pretty much what we want right there. I'm gonna go ahead and get our heavy cream in there. Now I'm gonna break out that whisk. Heavy cream, add it a little bit at a time. Just keep stirring. The less you add in at a time, the easier it is. When you're mixing it all, it's easier for it to break down, opposed to just having a lot at once. All right, so let's just give this a mix. And as you're mixing it and letting this combine, you will start to notice that sauce is gonna get creamy as you're mixing all this in. Add that pasta in there. Heavily salt that water. Make sure you season that water because we want that pasta to be seasoned. But we want to bring it out about a minute or two before it's at al dente. Let's say about 7 to 9 minutes. So we're going to pull it out at about 7 minutes. So now we're going to go ahead and just start to add in the rest of our ingredients. So we're going to add in some whipped cream cheese spread. We're going to add in our seasoning. Like I said, y'all, we pretty much going to start to add in everything now. For the rest of our ingredients, we're gonna add in our seasonings, all-purpose seasoning. We're gonna add in that smoked paprika. So I'm gonna give it some color and a little bit of pop and flavor. All right, y'all, we got that mixed in. Look, now we're gonna start to add in some of our cheeses. We're not gonna use all this cheese probably. Let's just go ahead and start adding in that cheese. We're gonna add in a little bit of everything. We're gonna add in mild, sharp cheddar, and then we're gonna add in our mozzarella and our Kobe Jack as well. You wanna add in a little bit at a time. Because you wanna let that cheese break down. All right, y'all, so we taking out that pasta. You know, we at that point in time, I took it out about 7 minutes. So now we just gonna take it over here to the water, and then we just gonna hit it with some cold water so we can cold shock it. Take that pasta water out. Like I said, make sure you cold shock it. But make sure leave some of that pasta water, maybe about a cup, because we're gonna introduce that once we combine our pasta noodles with our cheese sauce. We're gonna introduce that back because that's gonna help our pasta noodles, you know, kind of combine and stick well to that cheese sauce. So y'all see what we got going on. This is our cheese sauce. You know, I'll probably add in a little bit more cheese. Once you get to the point where you feel like, you know, you're pretty much done, make sure you taste it out. This is your cheese sauce, so, you know, pretty much, you know, what's gonna make that mac and cheese flavorful. So just make sure you got a good amount of flavor. If you need a little extra seasoning, you know, a little all-purpose, a little salt, pepper, I'm gonna throw that in there. We don't have no heat, also, no heat. We're just working with residual heat because, like I said, we don't want to cause no separation. Just keep the wrist going. When you're doing it like this, making that cheese sauce, it's a little bit of work, but look, it's all going to be worth it in the end. Before we add in that pasta, look, like I said, make sure y'all taste, make sure everything cool, everything good, no more seasoning or anything like that. But, like I said, before you add in that pasta, this is the time to add in anything else that you need. So this is the last thing that we're gonna add in. We're just gonna add in a little bit of sugar. It's not gonna make it sweet or nothing like that, but we got all this saltiness, and we just wanna balance out all the saltiness between the cheese, you know, between the butter, between the seasoning. We kinda wanna balance out all of the salt with a little bit of sugar. Now, y'all can also use, you know, y'all can use the sweet condensed milk if y'all want. You know, that's something else that y'all can use as well. You know, it's up to y'all. Use whatever ingredients, you know, you prefer to use. But you follow this recipe, you're gonna be good. The oven, preheating, 400 degrees. 400 degrees, we're gonna cook this. So preheat that oven to 400 degrees. Look, let's go ahead and get these pasta noodles in here. Like I said, cavatappi noodles. Y'all don't have to use the cavatappi if you don't want to. Y'all can use the regular, you know, you can use the elbow noodles. But, you know, the cavatappi noodles, you know, they got that twirl in them, that spiral. Like, look, yeah, all that cheese sauce, all that is gonna be all in the noodles. So look, you get all that pasta in there, go ahead and combine it. Start to fold it in, before we get it completely mixed in, save a little bit of that pasta water. And bind this cheese sauce to these noodles. No noodle left behind. This is another reason why you don't cook the pasta noodles all the way through, aside from, you know, they still gonna cook a little bit when they in the heat with the cream sauce, and you know, when they go in the oven for a little bit, they still gonna, you know, do a little bit of extra cooking. But you don't wanna, you know, cook them al dente, because like you want them to still have some stiffness, some firmness on them, because you know, when we mixing into the cheese sauce, we're doing a lot of mixing, and you don't wanna have, you know, broken up pasta noodles and stuff like that. You want them to all be still well put together. And that's another reason why after that cook too, you know, it's important to hit it with that cold shock. So, you know, this pretty much what we want right here. We still want that integrity on those noodles. We don't want no broken up noodles or nothing like that. All right, y'all, so look, this is what we got. Before we get it into this pan, that's what we got. That's what we're working with. That's what we want. All right, so let's move on. All right, y'all, so look, we got our pan right here, mac and cheese over here, and then we got our cheese sauces over here. Our 400-degree oven is preheated and it's ready to go. So look, let's just get our pasta noodles in here, just like that. And this, when you do it this way, this is gonna be an essential step into getting that good cheese pull. So we're gonna add a little bit. We're gonna add majority of it in right now. Our base layer, and then some of our cheese to this layer. All of our cheeses. Now on this layer, you know, I'm kind of adding majority of the yellow type of cheeses, because that Kobe Jack and that mozzarella cheese, it got that color on there. So, you know, as far as presentation, we want to have that color right there at the top. All right, so look, just make a little decent little layer right there, and then we just gonna come in and bring the rest of that on there, right at the top. These is the key reasons to having those rubber spatulas, because we getting all that cheese sauce up out of there. See, now you could use cheeses like, you know, smoked Gouda. If you know, use the smokehouse cheddar, yeah. Get creative with the cheeses, you know, don't do too much because you don't want to, you know, ruin the dish. But yeah, get creative. Kobe Jack is really pretty much gonna be, you know, the top cheese. Now y'all see these little blocks that we got right here. I'm gonna show y'all what we're gonna do with these. We pretty much, you know, we're gonna take these little blocks and we just gonna, you know, just stick them in, you know, little parts. Little pockets, little cheese pockets. And you go into, you know, you get your spoon into one of them. Have a little extra burst of cheese. Get this top layer, you know, pretty much coated up real good. All right, y'all. So y'all seen what we got going on. Look, like I said, up 400 degrees, preheated, it's ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and stick this in the oven, 400 degrees, about 10 minutes. Let it cook a little bit, you know, do a little bit of bacon at the top, but then after that, we're gonna go on a broil for about 5 minutes. So let's let this do its thing, you know, like I said, about 10 minutes, let's get it in there. And then we're gonna do that broil. Yeah, show y'all what we got going on. That's gonna be it. All right, y'all, so as y'all can see, mac and cheese is done. After that broil, like I said, you put it on a low broil, leave it in there for about 8 minutes. If you put it on high, look, just make sure that you pay attention to, you know, that crust and that browning that's going on at the top. Y'all see this right here? That beautiful crust? Throw a little parsley on there for a little razzle dazzle, a little presentation, you know what I'm saying? But look, once you pull it out, you know, just let it rest up for, you know, about 5 minutes or so. You don't want to go right in. Let everything settle in. So look, I can't even wait no longer. Look, let's go ahead and just get this on the plate. Let's go ahead and get this corner. That cheese, yep. Get that on the plate. Just like that. That's cool, I ain't gonna lie. Look real cheesy. We making some dressing. Yeah, how grandmama used to make it, we making some dressing today. So that's why I'm so excited, I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. So I'm ready to just go ahead and get to it. So let me point out these ingredients to y'all right here. We got our shredded rotisserie chicken right here. We got some butter, we got some eggs, we got the cornbread that we made yesterday. We put it in the refrigerator, so that's already good, ready to go. We got celery in the front, we got some white onions, and then we just got broth back here, chicken broth, we got some black pepper, and then we got a little kick, Creole. You know I gotta come with that. So, if y'all haven't yet watched the last recipe that we did the air fryer rotisserie chicken. So that's where this chicken came from. We just shredded that chicken up, and that's what we're gonna throw in this dressing. So let's go ahead and get into it. As we was pointing out our ingredients, I don't know how, but maybe because I didn't see it, I forgot to point out one of our main ingredients, that sage, that fresh sage. So we're gonna get this chopped up later on too. But where we're gonna start is, we're gonna start with the onions, the celery. We're gonna get those in the pan, get those cooked down, get those nice, a little soft and fragrant. And then, yeah, so we're gonna start there. I'm gonna just go ahead and throw a little bit of oil in there. Start getting my pan hot, I'm gonna start off at a low. And then we're gonna chop up these vegetables. Got the celery in there. I'm on the low right now because I'm still gonna chop these onions up. So let me get this onion in there. I'm gonna go ahead and chop our sage up since it's already right here. We could just get that chopped up right now. We're just cooking down those onions and that celery. And then since the chicken is cold, I'm gonna just come in and I'm gonna throw the chicken in there too. Just let that get a little heat on it and mix that in with the onions and celery. Throw a little pepper on there. A little bit of Creole cake. With that chicken. Start getting that chicken incorporated. We ain't cooking the chicken too much. We just kind of letting it heat up because it was cold. Coming out that fridge. Chicken already got flavor on it. That's why, you know, we not really seasoning. You know, I put a little pepper on the vegetables, a little Creole kick, but you know, we ain't really seasoning too heavy because, like I said, the chicken already got flavor in it anyway. I'm gonna kill the heat because we don't need to cook no more. All right, y'all. So we killed the heat over here on the vegetables, on this mixture over here. We done with that for right now. Now it's about to start getting interesting. So we got our mixing bowl right here. We got that cornbread, came out the refrigerator. So guess what we gonna go ahead and do? Get Get that cornbread out of there, get it up in here. And then we just gonna start breaking it up. So we got that broken up. Now you could stretch it with the box cornbread too, but we ain't even gonna use all that. We got our cornbread mix in there. So now we're gonna come. We're gonna put our celery, onions, chicken in there. Might not use all of this, let me see. Mix it around a little bit. We have those eggs. We're going ahead and crack those, get those whisked up, and then get them in there. This egg is our binder. So you're starting to get a little thick. That's what we want. So remember that butter. Got that butter. In the back, I'm just gonna melt some butter in the back. We started melting butter in here too. Y'all gonna see what that do. We're gonna throw that sage in there, that chopped sage. We're gonna go ahead and throw this in here. Pretty much start getting everything in here. I'm gonna start putting that chicken broth in there. I'm gonna go a little at a time and kind of, you know, eyeball it. Got that melted butter. Throw that in there. Some people like their dressing a little wetter, pause, you know what I'm saying? I don't like it dry, I like it moist. So as far as chicken broth goes, we shouldn't need too much more because it's just gonna absorb a little bit more. And then we're gonna be cool. So now, we at a point where add the finishing touches on there. I'm throwing that pepper. And then me, like I said, I want that Creole cake in there. So I'm gonna throw that Creole cake in there too. I'm not gonna throw in too much, I'm just gonna throw in a little. Mix that in. And then let me just tell y'all too, this is my serving size. It's not that big, it's an 8.5 by 8.5. I know Thanksgiving holidays, your dish gonna be bigger. So this is just the serving size that I'm using so that I can get it in here. Y'all know we didn't use all the onion and chicken and that mix. We didn't use all of it because we didn't need it. So for this serving size, this is gonna be perfect. And I don't know if y'all can hear that, but that's that moisture that we want. All right, so now we got our mix. We done mixing. We got our pan right here. Now I could take some butter, run that butter across there, but I'm gonna just use some canola spray and just spray the pan. Pan sprayed up. Our mix is done. Good with that. So let's go ahead and get it in the pan. All right, y'all. So we here. It ain't too many more steps, but to get it into the oven, y'all see that went kind of quick. So we got the oven preheating, 400 degrees. So once it get there, we gonna throw it in the oven, uncover. Since it's this size pan, I'm gonna go about 30 to 40 minutes. I'm gonna check on it at 30 minutes, see what it's looking like. throw a toothpick in there, you know what I'm saying, see what the inside like, see what the moisture looking like, and then we're gonna watch that browning at the top. Now, if we get to 30-35 minutes and it's browning too much, then we just gonna throw some foil on it and let it finish cooking for, you know, another maybe like 15-20 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and get this in the oven and get cooking. Oven heated up, 400 degrees like I said. Let's just go ahead and get this in the oven. 30 to 40 minutes. See y'all in a little bit. All right, y'all, so we out the oven. Had it at 400 degrees. So I went 40 minutes. 40 minutes, I checked it, put the toothpick in there, seen the moisture, you know, that I wanted. So what I did do was those last 10 minutes, and I got this from my boy AB. I put the foil over there just like this. I ain't tuck it or nothing like that. Because if I would, you know, usually when you put the foil on, you want to tuck it and, you know, stuff. So I just rested the foil over there because I didn't want it to keep browning at the top, and then, you know, we lose that cook from the inside, and, you know, the top start getting too, you know, burnt and stuff like that. So I just put that foil on there for about 10 minutes. So the whole cook probably took maybe about 40 to 50 minutes, 400 degrees. And now we here. But y'all see, we got those sweet potatoes right in front of us, so y'all already know what we making today. Candied yams. But look, today I'm gonna show y'all a quick and easy way to make these candy yams. Still gonna be packed with a lot of flavor, still gonna be good. But look, let's say you don't got a lot of room left in that oven, or you don't have no room left in the oven, or you don't got enough time to be putting nothing in the oven because you got enough stuff in the oven going. We're gonna be making these sweet potatoes all in this right here. Quick and easy. Ain't gonna need nothing else but this pan right here. So look, let's just go ahead and get right into it. I'm gonna show y'all how we're gonna make these candy yams in one pot. Let's get it. All right, y'all, so we got our sweet potatoes right here. We got our peeler, because we, you know, of course gonna need that. First thing I'm gonna do is just go ahead and just cut these ends off right here. Because, you know, they ain't gonna make that much of a difference. So let's just do this real quick. I got 3, but, you know, get as many sweet potatoes as you need for your serving size. All right, so now I got my garbage can right here. So we're gonna go ahead and just peel these up. Now just make sure that you peel them up real good. Let's just get that cleaned up like that, and we're gonna do that for every single one. So let's just go ahead and do that. Finish these up. All right, y'all, so we got our sweet potatoes peeled up nice and good. So we're gonna go ahead and get these choppy. Ultimately, you know, it's up to you how you want to cut yours. I like to cut mine, you know, just in slices. Decent sized slices, you know, all fairly, get as close to the same thickness as you can, because, you know, you want them all to cook evenly. You don't want no hard sweet potatoes, and so we just gonna chop these up like this. All right, y'all, so as we finish chopping up our sweet potatoes, you know, we wanna go ahead and get our pot going, get that butter melted down. So we're gonna throw a stick of butter in there. We're gonna start off at a low medium. We wanna get that butter melted, but we don't want it to melt down too fast, and then we don't want it to burn. Like I said, y'all, low, you know, low, medium, starting off, because we want that butter to melt nice and slow. We're gonna start to come in with our other ingredients. We'll do about a cup of brown sugar. I'm gonna get that in there first, and then let that kind of work, because we want that brown sugar to go ahead and melt down and break down in there. like I said, about a cup, you know, depending on your serving size. And do a cup, and then let's just work that in there. We on low, medium. You don't want to have high heat, especially when you get that brown sugar in there, because if your heat is too high, either one is gonna burn, or two is gonna turn into caramel, and that's not what we want right now. We on a low medium right now. We're gonna come up just a little bit to a medium. We're gonna keep working this in. We're gonna start to see it cooking down, getting some bubbles going as we add in the rest of our ingredients. All right, y'all, so now y'all can see we getting those bubbles going. Once you see that, you know, you kind of want to start to bring down the heat a little bit. We got about up to a medium on the lower side, low medium. So now we just want to come back down to about a low medium, and then we're gonna bring it down to low. We're gonna throw in about a cup of sugar. And then work that in there. Work the sugar in here a little bit, and then we're gonna add in the rest of our ingredients. Trying to keep that heat around a low medium now. You don't want to rush this process too much, because like I said, you don't want to have no caramel. You don't want it to burn either. Let that heat come back up a little bit. As it does, we're just gonna add in the rest of our ingredients. We're gonna add some nutmeg in there. About a tablespoon, roughly. Ginger, cinnamon. Give it a little stir. We're on a low medium, y'all, remember. We're getting some bubbles, so that's good. You know, we letting everything break down and cook down. So we're gonna add that salt, like a little pinch, not too much. Vanilla extract. Come in with that maple extract. Same thing, about a tablespoon. Start to bring that heat back down to about a low. That brown sugar and that sugar is pretty much cooked down. So, you know, we kind of want to kill the heat. We got all that sweetness and that goodness in there. So last thing we're going to add is that key, that secret. We're just going to add a little squeeze of orange juice in there, a little citrus. That's going to help cut through, you know, all that sweetness. You know, just kind of give it a little bit of acidity. Let everything combine, get nice and good, flavorful. Smelling real good in here. Keep mixing that in, make sure everything nice and combined. And we're gonna move on. All right, y'all, so y'all see what we got? We got that nice drizzle. And that's what we want. Boom. So, now what we're gonna do, bring that heat back up. So let's bring it up to a low medium. We got those sweet potatoes. Let's go ahead and get those in there. Let's just work them in there. We want to try to coat at least, you know, every piece. Bring that heat back up. As these start to cook down, you know, they're going to shrink up and mash up. Okay, so we just going to work these in here. We're bringing that heat back up to a low medium right now. We kind of want to bring the heat up a little slow with this one, because we don't want nothing to burn or overcook. Kind of separate them and get them coated. Yeah, so really what you want to do right now is you just kind of want to make sure that each slice, you know, got some coating on there. So yeah, we're just going to keep working these in here, get that heat on there. Eventually we're going to come up to a medium. And a medium is kind of where we're going to stay at. All right, y'all, so y'all see we cooking. We got our heat up there. So look, y'all ain't going to believe me when I tell y'all, but we done. Only thing we got left to do now is just let this cook. So we brought that heat up to temp. So right now we at about a medium. We're getting, you know what I'm saying, a little bit of bubbling and stuff like that going on. You don't necessarily want to boil, but you do want a little bit of bubbling going on. So we got a decent heat right now. Like I said, we on a medium, so just watch your heat. I'm gonna just give these one more quick stir, just so we can get each piece. If we missed any, we can get them just nice and coated up. Take our lid and cover them up. So we're gonna let these cook about 30 minutes. It's up to you how often you wanna check them. I would say though, maybe about like every 10 minutes. You know, just check them, give them a little stir, check on the texture. Of course, you already know we're not gonna pull them out until, you know, they get that tender texture. You know, you stick a fork, if you got a toothpick, stick that in there. As long as they falling off that joint nice and clean, then you good. So yeah, we're gonna come back to these, let them do their thing right now. We're gonna come back to them, and yeah, we're gonna have our sweet potatoes. Yes, sir. All right, y'all, so as y'all see, you got our sweet potatoes after about 25, 30 minutes. Checked them about twice every 10, 12 minutes. Gave them a couple stirs. Now y'all see, you know, mash them up a little bit. And then we get that texture that we want. You know, you got them big chunks. Or, you know, you could have that little mash in there, you know. But we done, all in this one pan. We started with this pan and we ending with this pan. Quicker, like I said, if you don't got enough time, you know, you want to get this done in about 45 minutes, you do it this way, it's gonna taste great. You don't got no more oven space because you got other sides, or you know, you got other dishes in there. You know, you want to rock like this. Get those candy yams done just like this. We making greens today, yeah. We making those Southern style greens, yeah. Another one of the most iconic traditional side dishes. Gotta make those greens. So let's go ahead and let me just show y'all all these ingredients that we got laid out right here. So we got those smoked turkey legs, fresh collard greens right there. Then we got our red bell pepper. We got white onion right here in the back. We got some lemon. We got some minced garlic. We got some better than bouillon. No, I'm playing. We got that better than bouillon right here. Y'all gonna see what we do with that. We got the Creole kick seasoning right there. We got some chicken broth right here. And then we got that all-purpose seasoning. Yeah, you know we gotta come with that every time. All-purpose seasoning right there in the back. So look, it ain't too many ingredients. It ain't too many steps. I try to give y'all the easiest ways to do these recipes. So if it's your first time making these recipes, it ain't too many steps as to it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna master it, and it's gonna be an easy way, and it's gonna be a fire way. You know what I'm saying? So if it's your first time making a recipe and you choose to make the recipe for Thanksgiving, people gonna be thinking you've been making. That's the whole goal here. We ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna get these greens cleaned up. That's gonna be the first thing. And then we just gonna, yeah, go ahead and get going. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so as y'all can see, most important step, we're gonna go ahead and get those greens washed. So we're gonna throw some salt in that water. And then let's just go ahead and get our greens in here and get those cleaned up. Clean them greens real good. For this amount that I got like 2 bundles. So you could use like 2 to 3 bundles depending on your serving size. And this, the longest step, is cleaning them greens. You gotta make sure the greens is clean. Got some salt in there. I'm gonna throw a little more salt in there. I'm gonna throw some lemon in there too, some lemon juice. Kind of let them soak a little bit. These greens is kind of clean, I ain't gonna lie. And you could just take them, each one, just kind of just rub them together. Everybody got a different method of how they clean their greens, but do this step, rinse out this water, run some new water in there if you want to. You can do about 2-3 times depending on what your greens looking like. So now that we got those greens cleaned up, we're just gonna toss them right here so we can get them chopped up. We're gonna go ahead and get our smoked turkey. Get that started. Put some chicken broth in there. Put that heat on high too, so we get a boil going. We're gonna let this get to a boil. This one we're gonna come with our better than bouillon. Amp up that flavor, take it to the next level, because you know we always gonna take it to the next level with all the recipes that we do. We'll put about 2 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons of that, and get that mixed in there. Remember, we coming to a boil, so we want to start cooking that smoked turkey. Start cooking it down. Go ahead and put your turkey in there. Smoked turkey. You can use whatever meat you like. If you like to use ham hocks, whatever. You know what I'm saying? As long as it got that smoky flavor though, because that smoky flavor, that's what we need. So then, I'm gonna come in with some minced garlic. You can use fresh garlic if you want to. Come in about a tablespoon. So as y'all can see, we got our onion right here. All while we still coming to that, you know, getting that heat up to temp in our pot. I'm gonna go ahead and chop this onion up, get this in the pot too. We got the onions chopped up, peeled real quick. So we're gonna go ahead and get these in the pot too. Let that, you know, that fragrance cook up out of these onions. So we just gonna rough chop. Y'all see, we brought our greens back. Our cleaned up greens. Nice and clean, rinsed off, we good. So we're gonna go ahead and get these chopped up, get these in the bowl, and then we're gonna go ahead and get them in the pot so we can go ahead and get cooking. So usually stems already kind of chopped off, but you know, if you want to keep those stems on there, usually the stems come out about right here. You cut them stems off, put them in the pot, cook them up. That's how grandmama do it. I know she had them in there. Cook those down, kind of like an easy way. I'm gonna just take them like this and I'm gonna just start rolling them up like this. Get them nice and tight rolled up like that. Come to the end and just chop them up. Alright, see, let that steam out. You see how that's cooking down. Nice, and those onions, nice and fragrant, they doing their thing. We're gonna mix them up a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and just start adding the greens in there too. Stir. Let those flavors, you know what I'm saying, soak up into the greens. And y'all remember, we had this bell pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up this bell pepper, get this bell pepper in there too. Cover that up. Bell pepper is optional. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to use bell pepper. Go ahead and get the bell peppers in there. Smelling good, y'all. Cooking greens. All right, so get those incorporated. And then this is, you know, when we kind of put the final touches to this cook on there before we kind of leave it alone. We will come in with that Creole kick. And then we also gonna throw that all-purpose seasoning in there too. Get it all seasoned and jazzed up. Throw the all-purpose in there. Come in with that Creole kick. No specific measurement. Like I said, my serving size is a little bit different. So I probably came in about a tablespoon each of, you know, seasoning. And then, you know, taste as you go. You want a little more kick with that Creole, throw that in there. You know what I'm saying? A little more salt, pepper, you know, whatever. Taste and adjust. Alright, so I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Ain't too many more steps. You know what I'm saying? I want to stir this up just a little bit more. Make sure everything, you know, nice and incorporated. It's smelling great. Smelling like Thanksgiving in this joint. Smelling like, man, smelling like soul food. So, we've been at a boil, you know what I'm saying, with the greens incorporated in there. So, now that we at a boil, let's go and get it covered up. Now, yeah, we just gonna come back every 30-40 minutes. We gonna check, and then we gonna see what's to it. I ain't gonna lie, can y'all see what's going on right here? Y'all see this bone? Bone ain't got no meat on it. That's how we want it, right there. Look at this bone. Clear, empty. So we're gonna get that out of there.